All right, everyone, now it's time to explain why Kamala Harris is indeed an extremist. Now, this is a moniker I never applied to Joe Biden. I pointed out that he was cognitively impaired, and he was when he was running in 2020. Although it was mild at the time, it's clearly progressed. I think that people would generally agree. There's a reason why he had to stand down and got ousted in a palace coup by Nancy Pelosi et al. But I never felt that he was extreme in the ideological sense. Yes, once he got elected as a so-called moderate, he did spend a bunch of funny money on his infrastructure project and a few other pandering things. And so, he cooked the economy and put us into a heavy inflationary cycle, and that still has not been, by the way, reabsorbed despite the best efforts of the Biden administration through its legacy media and big tech partners to convince us otherwise. But generally speaking, has he done anything meaningful in the sense of trying to force left-wing policies? No. Other than that and student loans, not really. He's basically just a neoliberal, a standard neoliberal. He leans a little bit more left on certain economic issues, and he's incoherent on foreign policy. Did he do a good job? No. Is that because he's a communist? No. It's because he's incoherent and incompetent. Kamala Harris, though, is competent, mentally speaking. She's not demented. She's not old enough for dementia. Is she intelligent? No, I would argue no. Is she capable of self-will? Yes. She's capable of attempting to enforce her agenda. That's what worries me. Because if you look at, here, let's look at the evidence. Number one, Kamala Harris a few days ago came out and said, hell yeah, we're going to confiscate your guns. That's not a good idea. I believe that would lead to a second American Revolution or something. I guess the accelerationists, actually, they'll probably be voting for her for that reason. If you were to try to confiscate every semi-automatic rifle in the country, the amount of manpower required you can't possibly muster, and so you would end up with massive attrition, and you'd end up with a Civil War style scenario. This has been attempted before, by the way. I mean, that's literally how the first American Revolution metastasized. Originally, they were trying to go over to Britain. They sent representatives to, Britain itself. They said, you're taxing us and stuff like this and regulating us, but you're not really giving us representation. They attempted to address their grievances. They spent years doing this. They were very, very restrained. This is what I urge myself. Attempt to address your grievances, organize, speak, negotiate, talk, debate, do those things. You don't need to open fire all at once, but if then the British regulars came, and they were trying to clear out several armories, actually. And then Lexington and Concord happened, and the rest was history. It's a terrible idea. Number one, it's illegal. It's unconstitutional. It's tyrannical. It's basically trying to do a throwback to the old worldism. I love how they say, for example, they say, well, Donald Trump is trying to take us back in time. Kamala appears to be trying to take us back into the 1700s. This is the old world mentality, and that's not all. That's just the first piece of evidence. Evidence number two, the choosing of Tim Walz over, the Jewish potential vice president, or Kelly, the shiny neocon, basically. He would have been the actual moderate. Tim Walz is a socialist. He has literally stated socialism equals neighborliness. Well, that's very interesting. We haven't heard that from a candidate before. You're basically the dollar store Bernie Sanders. Okay, so she chose dollar store Bernie Sanders, who is a self-professed socialist. Walz is just a little bit less honest about it and says, no, I'm a standard liberal. Don't worry, I'm a progressive. Well, progressive equals socialist. Just to be clear, they're the same thing. They're synonymous with one another. It's a stepping stone into literal communism. You want more state control, more taxes. They've openly professed that they want to raise taxes. They take glee in saying this. So, in other words, steal people's guns, possibly triggering a national crisis. Make us pay more. What you're going to use that money for is anyone's guess. I suspect it would be wars, because Kamala will have something to prove and have a chip on her shoulder and want to stand toe-to-toe with the big boys. It's the other problem. If we're going to have our first female president, I want her to be someone who is rather isolationist and pacifistic. Because otherwise they're naturally going to want to go belly up to the bar with all of the male presidents that we've already had, all 47 of them, 46 actually, I think. Cleveland, does he count twice? I don't know exactly. He was both, what was it, 31 and 33 or something like that? I can't remember. I'm a little bit rusty on my U.S. political history. My civics exam, I wouldn't pass it. Oh my God, Mr. Latkin, I apologize. I pray to the gods of history. Anyway, naturally, there's going to be an attempt to prove yourself. An attempt to, like a Milan mode, like I can do this, let's get down to business, I'm just as good as the boys, basically. If you had a Tulsi Gabbard running, it wouldn't bother me. Okay, you've been in the military, so you know that. You know that war is hell, literally speaking. You've heard every story from everyone that came back amputated because they got fucking shot or shelled or something like that. You seem uninclined to get engaged in international conflicts. That would be a good first female president. It would also, by the way, lead to other female presidents, for better or worse. With Kamala Harris, no, I think she would start a war. She'll probably antagonize the Venezuelans or go into ECOWAS or something like that, or get more directly involved in Palestine or something along those lines, so that she can say, well, we killed 1,000 terrorists. Yeah, we killed 100,000 civilians to do so, but it's perfectly fine. I think she'd be a female version of George Bush. Her policies are similar, except that they're more left-leaning as far as economics. So she is an extremist. She's a warmonger. She hates the militia. Like, quite literally, she would be derelict in her duties as commander-in-chief to uphold the Constitution if she said, well, we're going to confiscate your assault weapons. That would be a dereliction. It would be directly unconstitutional. It would lead to enormous numbers of casualties, by the way, as people decide, no, I'm not giving up my guns. Fuck you. You think they're going to participate? And what are you going to do? Raid them one by one and kill a bunch of people? Right in front of their kids and shit like that? Kamala would probably laugh. She'd just want the body cam footage. She'd find that hilarious. She'd have like a 5-hour reel, and on her days off, she'd just watch it over and over again. She's a sadist. She's insane. She is a legit fucking psycho. It's not like Joe Biden. Joe Biden was once cognitively normal and just a standard neoliberal. Did I bitch about him on a regular basis because some things that he suggested were fucking retarded? Yeah, of course I did. And I'm Team Trump. And I never worried he was going to start World War III. If anything, based on reports from staffers and people knowledgeable about the situation, he was one of those people who was like a McClellan, Civil War related as well. Like there was a time when General McClellan, and this is why he got fired by Lincoln, he had the high ground, so to speak, considerably more manpower, everything possible. But he said, let me think about this for a few days. Meanwhile, the enemy is digging in and entrenching. And he's got more manpower, more firepower, everything he could possibly need. He can overrun the enemy quite literally. But he waited. He was too strategic. This is how Biden appears to operate. With Kamala, she's just a straight-up psycho. She's not strategic in any way, shape, or form. Just look at her reaction to the Gaza protesters in Detroit the other day. That's the problem. You have somebody who can make their own decisions, but they make terrible decisions. They make mistakes all the goddamn time. This is a saving grace, by the way, as far as the election goes, because I don't think that she's going to be able to last the next few months. I think that she's going to completely melt down. Her campaign will be in shambles, and she'll probably do worse than Biden would have done. I think the Democrats made a terrible strategic error. I'm hoping that I'm right. Getting closer to the election, I'll be able to give a final prediction, but I'm really, really hoping that my final prediction is, Trump's got this in the bag. That's about all. Peace out.